Welcome back to another episode of the Wrinkly podcast. This is an EDH podcast. We like to goof, gaff, talk about the Commander format as a whole. I'm your host, Ethan, and today I am joined by my other co-hosts, Jason and Cameron. Go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Hey, Jason here.
Howdy, y'all. It's Cameron.
And I am absolutely honored to announce our guest today. He is the Krark father, Stacked EDH, also known as Ken Baumann. Please introduce yourself.
Hey, thanks for having me, everybody. I'm Ken. Pronouns he, him. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk about Krark and my weird life, and I'm honored that y'all are interested in either or both of those things, so thank you.
I'm a self-professed Ken simp, so this is a very happy day for me, and I'm just so thrilled. Thank you, Jason, for making my dream a reality. Very much appreciate it, and thank you again, Ken, for hopping on with us, little idiots over here.
No, it's okay. It's for little idiots then. Okay?
Okay.
If y'all are little, count me in the little idiots club. You know.
Hell yeah.
You're fit right in. I love it.
Yep.
I love it. So obviously, if you don't know about Ken, he's had a long, successful career in about everything he touches that I've learned a lot about the past few weeks. But we found him through obviously his YouTube channel, where he focuses on cEDH content and Magic EDH content as a whole. He's done a lot of things with data collection with the cEDH stats. He did the response to Command Zone's video on cEDH and a lot of great stuff, especially with Krark, my baby. So we're hoping to delve into some of that here soon. But I had a few icebreaker questions to hopefully get people that don't know you just to kind of get a base level as a Commander player, what you like outside of Krark, because I know it's Krark.
Yep.
But like, what's your favorite card outside of the Krark Father? Your favorite deck outside any Krark deck? And what was your first Commander?
Ooh. Okay, so these are tough ones because like my favorite card changes with the weather, like so many Commander players, I'm sure. And as I was bicycling home from the LGS right before this, I was like, God, I was like having an existential crisis. Like, do I have a favorite card? Like, but I think right now I got two answers for that. The game mechanically, because I started playing as a kid in '94, it's Lightning Bolt. I just like Lightning Bolt. When I was a kid, I loved it. I still love it. I'm of the mind that it's like a perfect little piece of game design, and I'm a red player at heart. Go fast, tap out, burn face. That's my motto, I think.
Hold on. Do you have a favorite art for Lightning Bolt?
Oh, the Rush art all day. Christopher Rush art all day. And I have one of my very ludicrous purchases. Now that I don't know, I might hang on to this one. I'm downgrading a lot of my cards right now for various reasons, but is the foil Judge Promo Rush art that I bought when it was expensive, and now, oh my God, this game is very stupid, and I am regretful that it costs what it does. But anyway, love the Rush art. And then outside that, I really love Ambition's Cost. Ambition's Cost from Portal 3 Kingdoms. I love the art. I think that art is like one of my favorite pieces of art in Magic. I love how disparate it is from a lot of the Magic styles at the time. I like how striking the colors are. I love the effect. Draw cards, lose life. I also love that. I love the flavor text is great. To me, it's just like such a perfect little emblematic thing that just like aesthetically, every part speaks to me. I even love the white border. Like I love all of it. Okay, so favorite cards. That's for now. That's my answer for now. Favorite deck right now is it's probably Yoshimaru Kedis. This is just Yoshimaru Kedis with 69 legendary cards in the 98 because that's a nice number. And nice. Thank you. And I love it. The deck goes super fast. It puts out crazy amounts of damage fast. And I like the concept of the deck in my mind is just like a headline from like a cartoon newspaper, like a Looney Tunes style newspaper that just says like dog and lizard murder family of 3. And that's like what I try to make happen every game. And it is it's so glass cannon-y, but the dog do be getting big and do be killing people, and that's fun. So I've just been playing it a lot and really loving it. And I like how, to me, it kind of solves the Voltron problem, which is eliminate one player and then they're gone. They have to sit there for an hour. I hate that. So with Kedis in the command zone is so much easier. It's just like, boom, everybody dies. Yay, we move on. And then my first EDH deck, past the like precons that I bought to get into it, which was the Commander Anthology, I think from 2016 with like Kalia etc.
The original.
Yeah. The first one I was like, I'm going to build a commander deck. I was like, you know what? I'll start with a colorless deck because that will be not so expensive. Ha ha, LOL. My life, it ended that day. Yeah. Was Kozilek the Great Distortion. I love Eldrazi. I love them. They're big, they're weird, they're enigmatic, they've got great character design. And I was like, I want to just draw cards and beat people to death with Eldrazi. That's my dream. I get to do both. And so, yes, that was my first deck. It started off pretty casual. It got pretty aggressive pretty quickly because I am an optimizer at heart.
Ethan, how close are you to proposing right now?
I am so fucking close right now, Ken. Are we like on some like metaphysical plane of spirit animals that we just didn't know about?
Yeah. I mean, they're like minds out there.
Like, the Kozilek, the
Yes.
Chris Rush. Like, side point, I know for a while you had Lightning Bolt in the Krark Sakashima list.
Yes.
Was that directly can you say that is partially influenced because you like the card?
A little bit.
Partially?
I mean, it was good. It was good. I'm a little less high on it right now, but I still think it's a great card. And in any Storm deck where you're like wanting to cast red spells a bunch, like that's a great red spell to cast a bunch. So, it's
and copy infinite times,
Exactly.
Sorry, close to infinite.
Yeah, exactly. An arbitrary amount of time, some number may be lower than an unnamably large number.
Thank God for the calculator. God for the calculator.
We're going to talk a lot about software development with Ken Baumann in a bit, but let's start out with Ken's background, because Ken, you genuinely have one of the most interesting career paths I've seen out of anybody in this community currently. Like,
oh, thank you. Good. Okay.
Obviously we have some very well-known content creators who have worked in the Hollywood scene, like Josh Lee Kwai and Jimmy Wong, right? But to be an author, an actor, a publisher, app developer, political organizer, English teacher, and to hold fellowships, and then eventually go to, let's just do some EDH content creation while we're at it. I want to hear this story.
I don't know. I think like maybe dropped on my head aggressively as a child over and over again or something. Because I'm not good at doing one thing, either in one slice of time or just like viewed holistically. Like I just hate doing one thing. To me, I'm like, I'm not one thing. Why would I lie and pretend to just be one thing? And so that combined with like ostentatious theater kid, combined with like middle class loving parents who are like, do whatever you want, combined with white privilege, and you get a resume that looks like mine, I think.
At least you're honest about it.
Yes. Absolutely. It's like I absolutely reap the benefits. So I don't know, like I jump around a lot, but I think the mainstays, at least in my life, are I love playing games, always have. I'm very competitive within that realm, within the like ludic game playing realm. Very competitive. I love having fun with friends. I love game mechanics, thinking game mechanically. And then I've always been a writer since I was a kid. I knew that was going to outlast acting when I started acting. It did. Surprise, surprise. And then the EDH content thing, I was like, hey, I think I still can do stuff in front of a camera adequately well. And I think I could contribute to the community. So let me just do that. Like I'll take some of my old skills and I'll use them and see what comes of it. So and then the teaching and all that, the teaching and political organizing, that was all sort of born of necessity. But I'm very glad for it. It taught me immensely a lot about myself and about what I'm living in. So, but I don't know. I know that's kind of a vague answer, but I don't know. I'm just an itchy person. I think I'm always like looking to find new itches to scratch. I think.
I mean, we can only get so much of your biography in in one
sitting,
true. Right?
Yeah. True. Yep.
But let's start with the acting, right? You started young.
Yes, very young. I started. I started doing it and enjoying it when I was like 10. Started doing like local theater and Shakespeare and stuff, and in Abilene, Texas, with like a life-changing crew of friends, most of whom were LGBTQIA+. Like they absolutely made my life what it is today, and I'm forever grateful for them. And so that like just opened my mind. I was like a small town Texas kid, and then I started doing theater with this wonderful bunch of people, and I was like, oh, life can be bigger and should be bigger. And in fact, like must be bigger in order for me not to like fall prey to my environment and be a piece of shit. So that was good. That was like the wake up call. So 10 years old was the beginning.
Wow. You found the wake up call at 10. I found mine at 24.
Well, I mean, I don't know. That was like a wake up call. That was a wake up, but not the.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting.
But yeah, like
wow.
Looking through a lot of the acting that you've gotten to do, you've got some very interesting positions and a lot of short films.
Yep.
And gotten to act with some interesting individuals. But of course, the role that you're most well known for is you played on Secret Life of an American Teenager.
Yep.
How'd you feel about it? Like, we've got a couple people who are huge fans of it.
Yeah, it's a good question. Like, I'm very grateful for what that show like did for me and my friends and family, and like I met so many good people. I worked steadily in the industry that I had dreamed working about steadily in since I was 10, right? So I was like doing what I wanted to do, being paid ludicrously well, right? Like actors are treated, I think, far too well financially. Like more money should go to the crew, but that's a different conversation. So yeah, I was super happy for the opportunity. I enjoyed working on it. I learned pretty quickly when watching the show, I was like, this is not for me. I was like, this is not my favorite thing. In fact, I'm just going to work, keep my head down, and that'll just be that. I'll treat it like a job. Like it's a job I enjoy, but I'll treat it like a job. And so I don't think it's like great. I don't love it. I don't recommend that people go out and watch it. But I do know when I'm working on it, I did meet a lot of people for whom it was really important and help them process traumatic events and think through their breakups and think about their families. And like a lot of good came of it. But is it my favorite television show in the world? No, absolutely not. But again, I met a lot of friends doing it and was treated very generously in many respects by the creator and by, everybody I worked with. So it was overall a very good experience.
Yeah. Do your feelings of treating it as like kind of a job, is that somewhat related to your feelings of your character you were playing have been in the show?
A little bit. I mean, yeah, I definitely am not that kid. Like I'm a nerd and I'm awkward and I can talk a lot, but that kid had some problems. I would like to think I'm a little bit more functional socially, a little bit less of a little less naive, a little less of a spoiled rich kid, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So yes, we definitely diverged, but that's a good thing, right? Because if I was just playing a character that felt so close to home, that would be scary. That would be scary for me. Like I wouldn't want that. So I was glad for the divergence for sure.
Okay, so Secret Life wasn't like your favorite thing to work on. Did you enjoy doing the side projects at that time more? Like,
yes.
There were a lot of 7 or 8 short films that you were in.
Yeah,
almost all during that time.
Yeah, I did a lot of short films. I did like small features, tons of commercials, other episodes of TV, and I enjoyed all of it. I mean, I think at that point, I think a couple years into the show, so it ran for 5 years. I think 2 years in ish, I started to suspect I'm not sure about acting as a career for much longer. Like I've been doing it a while. And I'm enjoying it, but I suspect that I'm kind of burning out. And so my desire to seek other stuff kind of went down. I knew once the show had finished, I knew I was burnt out when I got an opportunity to audition for a David Milch show. And David Milch is the showrunner and creator of Deadwood, which is just it's in my mind, it's like one of the best pieces of art that's ever been aired on TV. I love it. I love David Milch. And I knew when I got the sides or like the little part of the script that I was supposed to read for the audition, my stomach sank because it was an audition and I did not want to audition for another thing. And I was like, okay, Ken, you need to quit. Because if you can't get excited for somebody you respect crazily, it's over. You need to stop and step away. So I definitely was burning out, I think, slowly but surely. And then it got real fast at the end there as life got a little bit more complicated with all the illness stuff.
I think that's really awesome that you were able to see that in yourself and be like, "Hey, this isn't for me anymore."
It was a little late, but I got there eventually.
But you got there eventually. A lot of people put in that position may not do that for their mental health, and that's really awesome that you prioritize that.
All you got to do is just almost die, and then it turns out it's so easy to change your life. Do
we want to talk about your 3 times almost dying now, or at the end of the episode?
Let's bring that was planned a little bit later, but this is a good question.
So, hey, Ken, how did you almost die 3 times, buddy? What happened?
Wow. I think 3 is like a little, maybe I'm undershooting the mark, but these are like the 3 definite.
Undershooting?
Undershooting a little bit. One was I was born 2 months premature, so every breath I took, my chest collapsed entirely. I was in neonatal care, in the intensive neonatal care for 2 months. The doctor said I was going to be completely blind, completely deaf. It was not looking so good. It wasn't looking so hot. So that was number one. Like every day it was sort of like a question mark, like, is he going to breathe through the night or not? So that was number one. But I had nothing to do with it, so it's not that cool. Number 2 was when I presented with Crohn's disease. I presented super aggressively. I went from like feeling symptomatic, not knowing what the symptoms were of, to like being in the hospital with an abscess that almost put me into sepsis within like 2 weeks. And they were like, hey, if you'd come maybe about a day later, the abscess would have burst. You would have gone into septic shock immediately. You would have been gone. Like the abscess was huge. The hole in your guts is huge. Like, we are so glad you came to the emergency room. And I'm just like, and so that whole ordeal and getting like really intense surgery, like small bowel resection, and being like 90 pounds at 6'1", and like that was all really scary. And I got pretty close there with the abscess. And then number 3 was like the mental health, like the biggest mental health crisis, where I was like crazily, deeply suicidally depressed and was close. Like I was close. If it weren't for the grace of whoever, and my parents and my wife and my friends and Wellbutrin and my therapist and my, everybody came together. The village came together to make sure that I stuck around. But I was, it was terrifying, like absolutely terrifying. So those were the 3 parts. I've also like almost died in multiple car accidents where I was either like driving insanely fast in race cars or just driving regularly in California, which is just a death. That's just, you're just begging to die.
That's it.
So those are the 3 for sure. Maybe we'll just say like 3.5 to capture all the others.
Knowing the health condition stuff behind, did that actually influence your writing for What Now? A Sick Person's Guide to Surviving in the United States of America?
Yeah, that's the only reason I wrote that book, because I was like, oh, I can write this book. Like, I do know what it means to survive as like a very sick, chronically sick person in the States. And the book just didn't exist. Like, I looked around for it and I was like, come on, somebody has to have written this. Like, I'm not a genius. This is a dumb idea. Like, somebody should do it. And nobody did it. Everybody had like these memoir-ish 200-page, like, here's my journey type stuff, which is fine, good. I'm glad those exist. But it was like, I want something that somebody can read in an hour in a hospital, because that's what I needed. And I didn't have it. And so, yes, absolutely.
Significantly more practical approach.
But much more.
addressing personal illness in the U.S.
I would think so. Yeah, that's my bet. That's like my bet with that book. And I'm glad to have done it. And I'm always glad now when I meet people who are kind of lapsing into that, like falling into that kind of night world. I'm like, hey, I have this thing. Like, it might help, it might not, but it's not going to take up much of your time. And it might just well save you an immense amount of trouble. So here, and I'm glad I can do that now.
Yeah. And I just want to say, I really respect you talking about mental health a lot, because for me, myself, you said Wellbutrin saved your life. Or not Gabapentin. Citalopram saved mine about 3 months ago.
Sick, and good.
You talk about the village coming together. Like, it's a fishing trip. And changing, like moving on a whim, and medicine just like completely saved mine. And so I really respect you talking openly about that.
Oh, of course.
I really appreciate you talking about that, because that's something huge that a lot of people just don't want to talk about.
Absolutely.
So
and
I personally respect that.
Absolutely. Well, vice versa. It's, and particularly right for folks that look like us. Like, it's not a lot, like there's just a stigma still. Like, if you look like me, I'm supposed to be like, I'm a man and I don't feel and blah, blah, blah. Right. It's all bullshit. But there is still that thing. And so fighting against that, being publicly vulnerable, being publicly in pain, and not being angry about it, but being sad about it, like all that stuff is important, and slowly, I think, changes the culture such that we don't miss people, so that people don't die in silence. Right. But like, they actually speak their experience, and then, hey, maybe they stick around, and that's good. Yeah. We want everybody to stick around.
Absolutely.
Sure do.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Yep. Hey, we've broken into it. You're an author, so writing books. I noticed you seem to prefer mystery, and intrigue as kind of elements of your preferred writing style. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. I'm not a huge fan of like laying it all out, just I like books that work with the unsaid and narratives that leave you piecing things together and where you feel like you're sort of an active participant, like you have to make sense of things, because that feels to me like what the world is. It's not, never am I given just, oh, here's your experience on a platter, like this all makes sense. No, it's always a little chaotic and disorderly, and you have to thread things together. So I like books that do that in various genres and forms.
Yeah, when I was looking through your website, I was looking for the books just to read. I'll say this. I feel bad because I have not read any of your books.
Don't feel bad. No.
Well,
that's good. That's fine.
Immediately upon seeing the task, I purchased it.
Oh, so sick. Oh, good.
So it hasn't arrived yet, so...
I know. I'm yet to send it to you. I need to... All my copies are in my garage, and our garage, because my wife's a woodworker, is filled with wood. And so every time I go in my garage, I'm like, I have to like thread through piles of lumber and like fight rats, and it's quite a lot. So, but you will get a signed copy soon. It's on my to-do. You'll get it very soon, probably within like a week or two. And thank you for buying a copy. I appreciate it.
The like base summary from what I read of this is the escaping a suicide cult, right?
Yeah.
And meeting the tired cop who has seen everything and helping escape. Like that type of idea, there's a threading of cliches there, but it's still done in a way that I'm like, this seems really interesting and intriguing to read. So I was really wanting to see like how you choose to present your intrigue options. Apologies for not being quite there yet.
No, that's okay. And I'm glad that it was appealing, and I'm proud of it, and I do believe pretty confidently that like I managed to take the tropes, right? Like the things you expect, and I managed to subvert expectations, but also transform them, make them feel more meaningful for today, a little less like pat and a little more surprising. So, but we'll see. You'll be the judge, and know that as part of that book, for the first 1,000 readers of the book, I'm having an hour-long conversation with all of them, or I'm inviting them to have an hour-long conversation with me individually. And so if you wind up reading the book, great. If you wind up wanting to talk, great. No pressure either way, but that's available for sure.
Oh, I'm going to read it for sure. Regardless, I have
Wrinkly
it.
Brain Book Club. Wrinkly Brain Book Club.
I was going to say, I think it's interesting. I was as well looking at all your works, and you wrote a book about Earthbound. And
yes, I did.
I have never played it. I have always wanted to. I know it's been very difficult in the States to be able to play the original, or is it Earthbound 3? That was really hard.
Yeah. Mother 3, which is Earth
3. That one's super hard to play. I think the original one's like on the Nintendo Switch. Like
it is now.
I need to play it because I'm a big fan of RPGs. That looks really interesting. And so you says that's your favorite game of all time?
Yes, I think so. It's like I got the opportunity to write about it. My friend Gabe, we were just friends through the writing world, that some circles that we shared, and we were both living in LA, and he pitched the Boss Fight Books idea to me, and I was like, yeah, do it. And he was close to doing it anyway, but I was like, what, how can I help? And he's like, would you write a book for it? And I was like, yeah, I'll write a book for it. And we talked about, I was like, okay, it's either Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy VI, or Earthbound. And I thought for a minute, and I was like, it's got to be Earthbound. It's so, to me, that game stands out so much. It is so strange. It is easily the strangest video game I've ever played. And so I was like, I got to write about that one. Like that's, and it was great. And I wrote the book and helped, launch Boss Fight Books, which is now like, God, they just are constantly producing books. They've produced so many. They're raising tons of money on Kickstarter. So I feel very lucky to have been at the beginning of that bigger venture. But I love Earthbound. I could blab about it all day. I think it's so remarkable and stands out in its time and its era so starkly from its peers. And writing about it was fun, and writing about it helped me find a form that was very pleasing to me for writing about media, just in general. Like, how do I do this in a way where I'm using the media to think about my life and using my life to think about the media, and not keeping those separate in a silly journalistic way. Like, I can't pretend to be that. I'm not that. I'm not that objective person. So it was fun.
Yeah. If I wanted to read the book, would you recommend playing the game first?
Yeah, I would. I would say my only piece of advice for new players to Earthbound is like probably get a ROM or like find a way to play it where you can speed things up, like walk around faster, because it suffers from that Super Nintendo era RPG problem of like, God, everything takes forever to walk anywhere.
No running shoes.
No running shoes. But there is a bike in the game, though. You can get the bicycle, and that makes your life a lot easier. But that would be my only recommendation. But no, it's lovely. It's like so funny and surprising and goofy and sad. It's like, it gives you everything.
I've heard great things about it. I would be lying if I said the most I know about it, obviously, is when I played Super Smash Brothers on my Nintendo 64 for the first time and saw Ness. Who the hell is Ness?
Right? I'm so grateful for Smash, because it really did bring the game. It made the game real for most people who know it. I'd say would not have known it if it weren't for Smash.
Can confirm. Am in that camp.
I am in that and Chuck Carnwood's Let's Play of it. Those are the only two reasons I know about Earthbound.
Nice.
Yeah, Earthbound is one of those games, like, we always talk about cult classics.
Yes.
Earthbound is 100% one of them.
That's it.
If not the best example of a cult classic.
Yeah, the community who loves it is. Oh yeah, I mean, the room is now so like, I remember I was in LA when that was starting to become a meme. Like, we would go to midnight screenings at the Limley 5 on Sunset, and Mark would show up to the screenings and announce the movie and meet fans. And it was just the beginning of kind of like when Rocky Horror started to be that way, where you'd go to the theater and people like shout at the screen and dance in the aisles and do the numbers or whatever. It started to be that. And so we would go, like, we started going, and by a year or two going to these midnight screenings every once in a while, people were throwing spoons at the screen and being like, "Oh, hi, doggy." And it was like, it was really remarkable to watch it like blow up. And then it was like, oh my God, there's a movie, like a comedy about it. It just was so strange to me, but good. I'm glad that piece of art got that attention, because it is an absolute nightmare. It's lovely. Lovely.
Oh, good Lord. That's fantastic. So Ken, is there anything else that you want to talk about for your other work, either as a political organizer, teacher, app development, or publications?
The political organizing taught me sort of like it taught me how a lot of people live, because I just met people from disparate backgrounds and very different situations than mine, and I thought that was very valuable to me as a writer and just a thinker and a person, just in a community. I learned what the community looks like on the ground, and that was good. Same thing with teaching. I discovered while I was teaching that I'm not a classroom teacher. I thrive with small groups and individuals, and that was very useful. And then another publishing thing that I want people to look out for is that I ran a publishing company for a long time called Sawtor Press, and I put out a bunch of books. And something now that exists because of that, I gave the back catalog to a small publishing company, an indie publishing company named $2 Radio. And now they have a publishing prize called the Sawtor New Works Award. And it's available for trans or non-binary first-time authors. And there's money involved and publication under their press. And so I want to promote that, because I want to see the literature, right? I want to see those books exist. And so if you're hearing this, if you're a writer, if you got a manuscript, please submit it to that press. Get the money, get the publication, get the career rolling, and that would feel like my legacy as a publisher is in the right hands.
So, Ken, obviously we brought you on here not to talk about your very lucrative and past careers, but what you're doing right now that's related to EDH, your YouTube channel, Stacked EDH, and then the cEDH guide and data and everything. Mm-hmm. So, what led you to creating your channel?
Yeah, so I just fell in love with the Commander when I started playing it. I started playing it when I was teaching a colleague of mine who's a teacher. I saw him scrolling through Magic spoilers during like a teacher training that was like totally boring, and where everybody was just falling asleep. And I was like, Magic, huh? And we chatted about it. He introduced me to Commander. I had no idea what it was. I fell in love with it immediately. It went nuts, just like I'm obsessive. And so I just dove in and made it my life for a while. And now I'd like to think I have a slightly healthier relationship with it, but who knows? That's a question for my wife and my pets and my friends rather than me. And And so eventually I was just like, I just wasn't seeing kind of an attitude about the game that I wanted to see, that I felt like I was trying to cultivate in myself. And I also knew that a bunch of friends of mine here, we were playing regularly in games that I thought were fun and entertaining. And I was like, okay, I kind of know how to edit video. I had done that in the past, and I, worked in TV for a long time. So I watched it be done, and I was like, okay, I think I can kind of stumble my way through it. And then the video essay thing got going because I was like, I'm a writer, and I wanted to write about it. And I was like, you know what? This is going to be published as an article and it'll just disappear. But video has this sort of conversational, power to it that I will just do it. I'll just kind of like get in front of a camera again. And that took a little bit of psychological doing. Like I had to really kind of work up to it. But I was like, okay, the old skills I feel like are pretty good. They're still here. I felt, and it felt fun to like put my skin in the game, kind of like have my face associated with the ideas, and like so I couldn't hide, right? So I like here, like they're my ideas. I'm not obfuscating them in any way. Okay. And yeah, so that's it. I was writing essays, and I was like, I want to make Commander better. I want to make it better. I want to make it more inclusive. I want to make it more joyful. I want to make it more interesting, more empirical, like all these qualities that are important to me. I feel like, okay, I can do this. And if I'm not doing it, that's irresponsible because I'm like recommending the game to everybody. I'm like playing it all the time. Like I should try to improve it. I'm here. Why not leave it better than I found it,
Oh, so if I could ask, we've got the background, but let's talk about the channel itself, right?
Yeah.
What's the elevator pitch?
Yeah, so Stacked EDH, what Mike sort of like, I'm about to start the stream, like playing Commander with people, I generally say, we make videos about Commander, both casual and competitive. That's the general thing. It's just videos about Commander, about the format of Magic that I love so much. I would say the longer elevator pitch is that there's some edited gameplay, there's some piloting and politicking advice, there's some deck text. That's standard stuff. The video essays, I think, are what I'm attempting to make with those is very thoughtful, holistic, empirical, grounded videos about where the format has been, where Magic has been, and where it can go. Like how much the format can change for the better, and what we can do individually to improve the format. And so they are long and wordy and blabby, but hopefully they're entertaining. And I'm just trying to provide some sort of lenses about, with which we can think about the game that I don't see very often. That's it. That's the pitch, I think.
Yeah, that's a good pitch.
You blow me away.
I
would invest right there.
I couldn't summarize our channel that great.
No. Yeah,
we make
I think content. Your viewpoint, we do. Related Magic content sometimes. I think your pitch really touches on an interesting point, though, talking about trying to leave the game better than you found it in a lot of ways. That I feel like a lot of content creation, when I think about Magic content creation, I don't really think that. But the fact that you're approaching your content with that viewpoint makes it so much deeper than just, I put gameplay video up, or, I just talk about a deck. When you approach it from that viewpoint, that makes it a much more beneficial experience for the creator and the consumer. And I really like that a lot.
Thank you. And I'll say, like, it's not from like, maybe it's not just from the goodness of my heart or whatever, because I knew going into this, I was like, okay, if I make a channel, I'm going to need to promote it. If I'm going to need to promote it, I'm going to need to use social media. Pump the brakes. Because I was like, I've had bad experiences with social media. I've had that addiction before. And I'm like, I have to be super thoughtful. So I kind of had to tell myself, like, all right, Ken, like, you're going to do this. How do you do it in a way where if there's some addiction there, it's like kind of functional and not so disruptive. And so I had to figure out what that meant. And for me, that meant be relentlessly supportive, be relentlessly positive. If I am critical, make sure that it never shades into the cruel. Just critical of ideas, critical, like, don't be cruel, don't tease, just be positive and affirmative and supportive, inclusive. And so I made that kind of rule for myself for using Twitter. And I think it kind of just, like, the videos became that too. Mostly in the videos, I'm critical of people with power. And I think that's really all we should be critical of, are people with power. That's everything else, and systems. Everybody below the line, so to speak, everybody deserves a break, I think. So, yeah.
I think your best example of that is also is your video talking about the command zones viewpoint on cEDH that was, in my opinion, misguided. So I think that's a really good example of that, to a T.
Yeah, thank you. That video was fun to make, and Mord was, did most of the work, did the lion's share of that work for that video, crunching the numbers, building the spreadsheets, doing the analysis, and really I was just there to kind of write some questions and talk through it with him. So big shout out to him. Very talented guy, very talented artist. And so follow him, give him a look at his work if you're curious. But yeah, that video, I was like, I saw the biggest platform, the biggest channel for Magic on Earth say some untrue shit about something I loved. And I was like, y'all have a staff. Y'all could have researched this. Y'all could have paid people well, because they pay people well. Y'all could have paid people to do this. You could have been responsible. You could have avoided hyperbole. You could have avoided caricatures, but they didn't. And that upset me. And I was like, I don't hold it against them, because they are good-natured people. You can tell they love the game and they want the game to grow and blah, blah, blah. They're no villains, but they made a mistake. And I was like, well, I can't get them to, I'm not going to change them, and that's not my business, but I am going to put out something publicly where if somebody's curious, they can find the truth and make it clear and make it presentable, make it, accessible. And I think it was good, because in doing that, I also saw a lot of the overlap between their claims and what we found. And so it was good. It made the picture more nuanced, more complicated, and more real, I think.
Absolutely. And also it just made me happy to see a 90-minute video from you in my sub box one day out of the blue.
It was so long. Happy. It was long. Yeah, I know. We were like, oh my God, this is going on forever. But it was like, it felt important. But now we've got... now we've got the guide. And the guide now does the work. So the video was just sort of our introduction there.
Let's talk about that, because you've answered the question of what led to the creation of cEDH.guide.
Yeah.
What is cEDH.guide?
Okay, so cEDH.guide is a team effort by a bunch of volunteers, all of whom love cEDH, all of whom want cEDH players to be informed, to have tools at their disposal that let them learn about the format, or rather about the metagame and about the mindset, and introduce people new to cEDH to it in a way that's clear, accessible, plain English, right? Like just really simple. And so that was the goal, and we're constantly working on it. Again, it's like a big team of people, all of whom are really nerdy about this, so we're constantly iterating and improving and adding stuff, and I really do hope that it becomes, if it isn't already, hopefully it already is, but if not, I hope it becomes kind of the central resource about cEDH for the people who love it and play it and are intimately aware of it, and the people who have no idea what it is, or it's a boogeyman or whatever, just to be like, boom, just go here, your questions will be answered, and your curiosities will be stoked.
Yeah. Looking through cEDH.guide, I was really impressed the first time I saw it. It was like, oh yeah, you have basic introductory components, right? Talking about the philosophy of cEDH, which helps explain to people that it is a combination of a mindset and a metagame.
Yep.
Right? So as long as you have both those things, you're playing cEDH.
Yeah, that's it. And it's like, it's not rocket science. It's just sort of, it's like an attitude with some expectations, and then a bunch of deck choices and playing a certain way. It's not like, yes, it's subtle. It can be subtle, but the core of it is you're playing Magic. You're having fun with your friends. You're just doing it in a way where you'll have really precise shared expectations. That's why I think cEDH has grown so much, because it is the paramount Rule Zero success.
Yes.
That pregame conversation has become so precise with cEDH that you should still have a pregame conversation about, are we going fast? Are we going slow? How much time do we have? Like, does anybody have anything about their deck that they want to try or share or whatever, or they're worried about? All that should still happen, but you don't need to do so much labor to make the game work. This is something that Lamora's House of Cards, and I want to make sure that I get their channel name exactly right. So I think it's Lamora's Cards and Horrors on YouTube. Excellent channel. Excellent channel. Very underappreciated. But it says he says this in his video about Commander, and sort of like how the game works, how it manages to work. Even though it's like got a lot going against it. and a lot in the design of the game is working against Commander's premise of like, oh, communal fun. He says something very important that's like, it's amazing that this game is functional, but the fact of the pre-game conversation kind of bridges the gap between design desires from Magic's early designers to the EDH designers, founders, to now the audience that understands the game, because there are gaps between those groups. Yeah. And so you got to do this pregame thing, but cEDH, you don't really have to that much, which to me, and this is why I've argued extensively to like Sheldon Menery himself, I'm like, anybody on the damn phone I can talk to about this, I will. I'm like, cEDH, that's where we're going. That the train has left the station. It's growing, it's going to keep growing. It's not, casual's not going anywhere. And again, there's not, in my mind, there's not much of a distinction, but people are really going to keep playing cEDH and enjoying it. And that's a good thing. It's not bad. That's just where we're going. And I don't know. It's not, I won't say it falls on deaf ears, but they're pretty skeptical, I think. And I understand their skepticism, but, time will tell. And I'm pretty confident that I'm betting on the right horse. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Do you find the skepticism comes mainly from like a competitive aspect in a casual format, or is it like the price point? Because I know there's been a lot of talk about price points and the proxy debate always going on. Where do you think the skepticism comes from mostly? I think
that, and Sheldon, if you listen to this and I'm wrong, shout at me in the DMs or publicly condemn me, and I'll be okay with it because I love you dearly. But I think that there's just this identity that came with the foundation of the game that Commander is like competitive, is not competitive. That's its central identity, not competitive Magic. And then that got bundled with play janky cards, weird life total, weird restrictions. But not competitive that's what Adam Staley and the homies, that's what they wanted. And that's what Sheldon et al. Picked up and ran with as judges. They wanted not competitive. And I think that when you define something like that and you're not really leaning into the positive qualities, you're leaning into what it isn't, I think that kind of, it's like a little corrupting seed at the core of an idea that will just eat it from the inside out. And I think that that's where a lot of tension in the format comes from, because I think that we can define it more diffusely and say, Commander is playing whatever you want. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And with the pregame conversation, Commander is playing however you want. Mm-hmm. That's Commander. And thus, Commander can accommodate any kind of mindset and can have any kind of metagames within it. It's the widest Magic has ever been. And I think that a lot of people who gravitate towards cEDH, they know that. And they accept that. They're like, yeah, I can play the casual janky stuff. I could play Chrome Mox, Mox Diamond, whatever. I can do both. And I will, because it's fun. And I think that there's a little resistance because I think not competitive, that aspect of Commander's identity is going away. And I think that Sheldon and sort of the RC, they're just, I think they're mournful a little bit about it and really want to imagine that like they have to protect that. But I don't think they need to protect anything, because I think people have fun playing Commander all sorts of ways already. It's not like you got to protect people having fun. They're gonna have fun. We're a clever little animal. We're gonna find ways to have fun with the tools that we got. So I don't know, but that's, again, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm historically myopic, blah, 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 but that's how I see it.
I have no fault in anything you just said right there. I really like your perspective a lot.
It's a really interesting perspective.
I do too.
Yeah, it's a really unique one, and I like it. Thinking on it and letting it digest a little bit, it does add a little bit. That perspective might have a little bit of tension with the arguments in ban list discussion, and then furthermore in the potential of separating cEDH from EDH, which I'm very much in the camp of it's all EDH.
Yeah, it is.
So, like, just leave the ban list together, right? But I like
absolutely.
power level bannings. I'm well on the record of I like power level bannings.
Yeah, it's hard because I'm a filthy anarchist, and so like, and so I'm like, fuck it, unban it all. Like, let people, people will figure it out. Like, if something is unfun in a play group or LGS, you'll hear about it because people are not good at hiding their and they shouldn't hide their like, oh God, I'm having an unfun time. Like, that's clear. But I understand that ban lists are functional for, unknown playgroups, big events. Like, I'm like, yeah, sure, absolutely. Ban lists make sense. And also, ban lists to me, the only thing that I really think they're good for, to be honest, is a signal to the game designers telling them, hey, Don't do that. Don't do that. You messed up. That to me is the function of a ban list. And that
okay.
And early on in Magic, you see the ban list was like, oh, well, we got to make competitive play functional. We got to make sure that, no one deck just sweeps tournaments. And I get it. So banning from a competitive lens is one kind of thinking. Banning from a social lens, that's how the RC like to think about it, is another lens. Again, I'm like, I think that I trust adult human beings to figure their shit out. and maybe history is like, Ken, you're an idiot. Look everywhere. We're not figuring our shit out. But I believe that we got to prefigure the world we want to live in, right? We have to practice what we want to live in. We have to practice the future. We got to make it exist today. And so if you treat people like babies, they're going to act like babies. And if you treat them like people who can't grow and learn how to be peaceable with one another, they're not going to grow and they're not going to be peaceful with one another. But if you treat them with respect and dignity, they'll often rise to the occasion. And I think that the RC and a hobby with no real world stakes should let people rise to the occasion. That's like my anarchist pitch, and I'll stop with the propagandizing, anti-status propagandizing or whatever. But anyway, but I get it. But as it stands now, Commander is very functional. So I'm not like, go rock the boat. Like, hey, it's working. We're having fun. But I don't really think the ban list has that much to do with that fun in my personal experience.
So one thing that you've mentioned a few times that I find interesting, this group of people in this call, 3 people started with competitive Magic, and you started with straight casual Magic, going into Commander directly. So hearing your viewpoint on banning discussions, I'm so used to things being based on power level. Like, I still cry for Faithless Looting in Modern, back when I played Modern. That one hurt me quite a bit, but hearing your perspective is very different because I just come from a different background. So I like that dichotomy we've got going on. Yeah,
it's and that's the thing. I'm not a Magic pro, so I don't understand sort of the technical nuances that lead to certain bannings. Although I have studied up, like I've done my homework. I know about Magic's history as a game. I know all about the ban list. I know why the ban list came to be. I know how sideboards came to be. I know it all. Like I did the homework because I wanted to speak intelligently about this. But I think that again, since Commander it can be a format in which we play competitively. We can play competitive decks casually. We can play competitive decks competitively. We can play casually decks competitively, and we can play casually decks casually, right? Like all possibilities exist. And so to me, bannings speak to a failure in social functioning between adults. Like we ban because we can't have a conversation. And I'm like, nah, but again, or we ban to tell the game designers, y'all, that was whack. Like, don't do that again. Like you just like made a card that's like stupid. And
Kafka's Oracle nowadays, potentially.
Right. It's
not going to go in that discussion,
but again, like that I understand that reason too, where it's like, hey, you got to tell the game designers something some way, and you can't just vote with your wallet. Like that's not going to work that much, as we've seen. And so, I don't know. But I don't know. I have a lot to learn about it. Like I'm still kind of a baby in the world.
I'm curious on this though.
Cameron, did you
doing your research? Oh, Cameron.
I was going to mention that I really like your point on like competitive versus casual being more of a mindset than like just your deck choice. Like you have the ability to play like your casual deck. You have the ability to play that competitively. You have the ability to like take that into a pot of all other casual decks and play it really cutthroat. It's not and just with the cards in your deck. I just never really thought of that. And that's really cool.
And it's something you see when you like give a pro Magic player like a precon.
Yeah,
like, they'll play the shit out of that precon. They play so tight. It's like that's outrageous. But I think that's great. Like again, to me, it's like. This is all verb stuff. This is not noun stuff. We're just making decisions. We're doing stuff. And so we play adverbally. We are making choices that make our verbs look a certain way. And so, of course we can I can take Krark Sakashima. And if people are like, I've got my precon, I just don't cast fast mana. I just play a land pass for 7 turns. and or 8 turns and like do a little bit here and there. Like that's within my power. I can. I'm a big boy. I can do that. And so I think that's again. I just think that testifies to the nature of like it's not really the cards. It's the people playing the cards.
Yeah.
That
and you have some people that might not like that you're like saying you're sandbagging or stuff. It's all It's all you can't please everyone.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah.
Talking about this, you were just making me go down a trend of like content creation that I've consumed recently and been watching. Like talking about pros getting into Commander format.
Yeah.
So, do you ever watch Star City Games versus Commander Versus?
Yes. Yep. I've seen it.
Yeah.
Yep. Quite a bit.
Corey Baumeister getting in and watching his growth from Pro Magic specifically into now doing Commander content creation has been very interesting to watch. Just the changing and learning about the philosophy and things that casual groups may not accept, right?
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
And similarly, like, as of, like, this month, I want to say Brad Nelson got into Commander, and dude's... Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Brian Cook's playing. He's playing cEDH. Drake Sasser's on the Mind Sculptors. He's playing cEDH. Like, a lot of pros are finding their way to the
really cool.
to Commander.
Phil Gallagher from Thraven U, who totally had on our last gameplay video when we recorded this. Shout out to him. I mean, just that's a good example as well. So it's really interesting to see that it wasn't just us that just jumped from pro to casual. It's other people too.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of times.
Ethan, that's a stretch to say we were pro.
That's
Hey, I got top 4 in a legacy event in February 2020.
Sick. Good.
Fair.
Top 4 is hard. Yeah.
Oh, it was hard.
And building on it, when you're talking about doing your research for all this stuff, I'm shouting out another content creator. Did you ever watch Nizohone Magic?
No, I haven't seen any of their work.
I think I've seen him.
He primarily does history videos
for
Magic.
Interesting.
So, like, you want to watch history of the ban and restrictedness?
Oh, yeah.
He has like a 20-part series.
Oh my god! Wait, what is
15-minute videos?
This is amazing. What is this person's name?
Nizohone Magic.
How do you spell that?
I believe it is Nizzahon.
Okay.
Magic. Yep. They have 74.3K subs.
Okay.
Why have you never mentioned this before, Jason?
You've never watched them, Ethan? I've watched some of their BNR history. It's really cool because it goes like into like certain events that led to the banning of said cards.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
sick.
also,
This
like,
is great.
Top 10 lists of like random things, like top 10 elves from a competitive standpoint, right? Who has the most points in winning? So.
Wow. Deck history, combo
content.
decks. Oh yeah, this is like right up my alley. This is good. Thank you for the recommendation. This is awesome.
I just dropped a sub. All right.
Yeah,
remember,
sick.
viewers, there's a lot of great content out there.
There is.
Nizohone, go check them out.
Nice.
All right, with that, I think we're ready for the main topic of this whole podcast. What we're really here to talk about. Best Boy Krark.
Best Boy Krark. Thumb tattoo. Yep, thumb tattoo boy. Yeah, with that little gambling goblin, I just can't get his beautiful body off my mind, you know?
You and me both, man. You and me both.
Yeah.
For anyone listening and not watching, won't see a picture. Krark, 2-mana, 2/2 goblin wizard?
Yep.
Or shaman?
Wizard.
Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, flip a coin. If you win, you copy it. If you lose, the spell goes back to your hand.
Exactly.
It's so simple yet so complicated.
And with the flavor text, with the very important flavor text, double or nothing.
Double or
nothing. You're indeed correct.
Hence the no thumbs. Like this is a man who lives for his gambling, and I love it.
Hey, we run one of his thumbs in the deck.
That is true. We do have one of his. Luckily, that we've salvaged it. The thumb is there. But God, how did my life just got so weird when that card got spoiled. I saw it and I was like, cool. I was like, yeah, flipping coins. I've always loved flipping coins in Magic, and since the early days, I was like, cool. This looks fun. And then they spoiled Sakashima, and I was like, God damn it. Like, you're telling me I can have 2 of this little meatball in the command zone? And so, I just started brewing it, and other people were brewing it too. And I was like a little smartass about cEDH at the time. And I was like, I think I know something. Like, I think I'm kind of seeing what people are getting up to. And I was like, we can push this. Like the math on this is nuts. We can giving instants and sorceries buy back 0 and then giving instants and sorceries with Storm buyback 0 is nuts. And I was like, that's exactly what I want to do with my life. So yeah, we just started pushing it like as hard as possible and trying to take it to its limits, make it the fastest, the most consistent, the most explosive, the most resilient thing we could. And we did what we could, and it was fun. I think it could kind of hang, but it wasn't like the strongest deck. And then Wizards just kept printing cards that were incredible for the deck. Yep. They just nonstop. They just shat out like 15 cards that were great for this deck.
MH2 especially, I feel like.
My God, Tavern Scoundrel and Strike It. It just like Harmonic Prodigy. It was nuts.
Yeah, it just was nuts. My favorite card in Magic, Harmonic Prodigy.
Oh, it's so great. And so the deck, like, not overnight, because it took about 6 months, but the deck went from a meme and a joke that I watched people make little tee-hee, ha-ha jokes about to stomping their asses at tournaments. And I was like, we've done it. We have done it, folks. And that was great. That was great. And the community that formed around the deck, to me, like, I've been in some cEDH discords, some deck-related discords, not the most pleasant places in the world, not very nice. And I was like, okay, we can't have this. Like, we got to have a good community. It's got to be positive vibes. It's got to be supportive. No bigots. No dumb shit. Like, let's just be nice, be kind, be constructive, be creative, and see what happens. And with the help of some excellent moderators, and just having conversations privately with people who kind of step out of line and inviting them back and saying, hey, like, here's what we expect. The place is so humane, fun, funny, and I really think that the deck is successful because the community loves it. The deck is not successful because of me. The deck is successful because of the community. I am simply a weirdo who got thumb tattoos and owns the Discord or whatever. But yeah, like, I just love the damn Commander so much, and I love the various decks that pair up with them.
Speaking on the community aspect, I watched that entire 4-hour live stream.
Oh, wow, you're dedicated.
The 4-hour live stream. Trust me, I've been preaching the name of Krark in our Smooth Brain production stuff for as long as I have been. Like loving the deck. But I watched that entire live stream, and just the fact that the entire community of people that are committed can get together and just talk calmly for 4 hours straight about this card. Temporal Fissure was the biggest debate point in that entire thing, I feel like. Like no one was ever got mad about it. The people were speaking their mind on it. Yeah. But the fact that everyone stayed calm and collective, and they got to a point, was it 91 or 93 cards were all agreed upon?
I think we got to 92. I think I'd have to read my own primer, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that we agreed on at the time we got to 92 out of 98 cards. Everybody was like, yeah, we agree. We know what they're for. We know what kind of slot they fit in. That's crazy. And
that's insane.
It's really nuts. So the community, again, is like super communicative. Yeah, even like people with pet cards like Chief and Temporal Fissure. Chief, notable Krark Pilot, won the Playmax tournament on it. Like, people will make little jokes here and there, but nobody's unkind. Everybody knows that, like, hey, it's Magic. It's a silly game. Like, if you play a card and you like it and it works for you and you're getting results in a competitive mindset, do it. Play it. Like, no one's going to kick in your door and arrest you. Do what you want.
Not yet, at least.
Yeah, exactly. Not yet. I'll be the first to go down for Krark. I'm telling you, cuff me now. But yeah, so it's a good community, and I think that like the deck works on a unique axis that cEDH hasn't really seen quite precisely in the past, and that combined with a lot of great cards that we got really make it a pretty top tier contender in tournaments, and we'll see how it develops,
I'm gonna make sure we link to the Discord underneath our personal Discord for ARC fans. Make sure we gotta plug ourselves, but I'll make sure to link the Discord because I personally, from experience, it is a fantastic place where I would just be like on a road trip, just scrolling through, just like loving everyone's feedback and
very
seeing the different
chill
deck list and comparison.
Very
it's
creative,
fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic community.
Yeah,
I really like that. Like, I've seen plenty of brewing channels that hostile.
Yeah.
It's not difficult to find it, but to find, I mean, if I had asked, like, how many people are in that Discord currently?
I think last time I checked, it was like over 800, but
wow.
I haven't checked in maybe the last few months or last month or so. But it's a big group, and I would say that on any given day there are maybe 30 or 40 people who chime in and are active, and then there's like a core of like probably like 15 to 20 at any point who are like really, they've been with us for a long time, they're really dedicated. But yeah, it's good.
Yeah, with 800 people, I was thinking like, probably somewhere around 60 to 80 people is maybe about the like daily chime in amount or something.
Exactly.
Or people you would consider roughly active, right?
Yes. Yes.
So even to say you got a group of 80 people to be civil with each other.
I know. I'm telling you, our moderators are great. They're super level-headed. And also just like the principle that I set down from the beginning was like, if somebody fucks up, reach out to them privately. Do not confront them publicly, because when people get confronted publicly, they get defensive, they melt down, they get weird, they feel attacked, blah, blah, blah. Reach out to them privately. That's the humane thing. And they might change that way. That'll give them the best odds to change, and it'll give you the best odds to be a kind person when you're dealing with them. And obviously, right, if somebody jumps in and starts saying insane, bigoted shit, they're gone. They're gone. Like, we're not going to try to rehabilitate them or whatever. But most people are not that. Most people, you know, they'll just mess up, and if they're treated respectfully and warmly and invited to come back, invited to change, they'll be really amenable to it. And that has happened. So and again, this doesn't happen very often. So I happened like 3-ish times in the history of the Discord, but like these people are lovely and they're in the Discord, all is well. And so I think that principle plus good mods plus people who love to flip coins in EDH makes for a good community.
That last part's the important part.
Yes, the coin flippers. We're a strange breed for sure.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, like, you were talking about cEDH not having seen something like Krark for a while, and it's like, there's not really too many decks out there that willingly throw themselves into additional variants.
There really is no comparison.
Yes. We
need a calculator to learn how to play the deck.
Yeah. We do be loving variants in the Krark community, but you know, we like to make that variance lean in our favor more often than not. And hence the math.
Cards, it's good.
I mean, once I'd take 2, I'll take 3, like 8's, that's fine. That's overkill. You don't need 8. But yeah, it's been a blast. And I got the thumb tattoos because I wanted a daily reminder of how much I love the Magic and how much this like silly little card has made my life better. And also it's funny. And I like to laugh, so there you go.
It's fantastic. Yeah. I mean, it's not just Krark and Sakashima, though. Like, that's obviously like the core competitive deck. But I mean, you yourself, the Krark box. If you want to talk on the Krark box, what is the Krark box? Yeah, the Krark box is a modular, what I like to think of as a modular deck, meaning it has a core of a certain number of cards and then packages that you kind of shuffle into the core to make up the multiple different decks. The core of the Krark box now is something like, I don't know, I think I'm around 40, 45 cards that don't change between each of 3 Krark decks, Krark Tymna, Krark Thrasios, and Krark Sakashima. So I wanted to cover all the colors, and I wanted to pair with commanders who I thought were really strong and really like historically tested and proven in cEDH. They all have their unique benefits. They all have their unique angles and strategies. Each deck plays pretty differently, even though they share a core of like 40-something-ish cards. And I just love playing that way. Like, I will sit down and play cEDH at the LGS or online, and I'll just run through the Krark box. We'll try, you know, we go Sakashima first, then we go Thrasios, then we go Tymna, and I just loop it. And and I really think that all 3 decks have legs. Like, you know, at any given cEDH table, even at a tournament level. Krark Thrasios has been doing well recently. That has some tournament top 4s. Krark Sakashima obviously has a lot of tournament top 4s. Krark Tymna, I don't, you know, it's like that's like the wobbly baby of the bunch, but I'm hopeful, and you know, I've tried to make it fun and make it feel distinct, and I just love modular decks in general, like a huge modular deck fan and fanatic. So this was my opportunity to do that with cEDH. I don't think of any other content creator that's done something of that. So when I saw the Krark box, I was really impressed. I love it. Your whole video on it. Also, your way of determining what goes in which deck by on the stickers on the sleeve. It's like, very, very practical. Saved my ass. Like, I can't tell you. My wife laughed at me so much because I was like looking at like all these stickers on Amazon, like Lisa Frank stickers, and being like, it's not perfect. And she's like, it's just a sticker. And I'm like, no, I will find a better sticker to signify Sakashima of 1,000 Faces. Okay. But yeah, I finally found stickers that I like, and the sticker system's great. I came to that just having a big staples system for EDH, because at one point I had like 35 decks, and I was like, I had so many shared cards and like printed proxies of cards that were shared, and
So I had stickers to indicate that. And I was like, oh, we can port this over and it'll work. And yeah, it's funny. And I also I draw a card with a little very foily little baby chicken hatching out of an egg, and I think that's funny when I put that on a Wheel of Fortune or whatever. Not on the card itself. Don't panic.
Yeah. It's on the sleeve.
It's on the inner sleeve. But yeah, so thank you. I appreciate it. I like that. Modular cEDH can be a thing for sure.
You're starting a revolution here.
Yeah, hopefully one nerd at a time.
And you mentioned tournament stuff, and I want to briefly touch on it. Not wanting to rustle any feathers too much on this, and for anyone listening at least, the Marquesa 2022 tournament had its tournament report that came out, and Krark and Shakashima was specifically called out for using a lot of time during rounds.
Yes.
And the same company, I believe it's Monarch Media, is the one who ran that tournament, and they're running... I don't know what they're naming the tournament now because it's no longer in October, but Okotoberfest.
Yeah, it's still Okotoberfest. Yeah, in November. Right. Okotoberfest in November. Yep.
Don't blame them. It was scheduled for October, but then Magic 30 big event is on the same weekend, and they're like, nope, not competing.
Yeah, the big mothership beamed down and made it messy. But yeah, same company.
But yeah, so we got a big tournament coming up with we're probably going to see Krark and Sakashima at it, and I'm hoping to see it at it, honestly.
I'll be there playing it, so we will.
Hell yeah. Hey! I'm hoping to be there, so I might see you there.
I hope so.
But how do you feel about it? With the tournament stuff and the potential round timers, there may be an update to their rules. They may include something to... this could put a nail in a coffin for Krark in tournament settings.
Yeah, Yeah, we'll see. The report came out. It was lots of feathers ruffled, lots of people, lots of chatter, lots of people feeling hurt, lots of people feeling angry, lots of people feeling vindicated, blah blah blah. And really, I think a lot of that was just for a few sentences that Nick wrote that I don't think he should have written. And we've talked about it. And again, we're all cool, we're all good. But nonetheless, he's a tournament organizer, and tournament organizers got to be very conscientious about time and about money. And he's good at his job, so he is conscientious about both. And he was worried, and he expressed that worry for the future. And I think that's a good thing. You got to pay attention to what is disrupting or what feels disruptive to your events. Mm-hmm. I think that after talking to literally everybody that I could in that tournament who played, talking to the TOs, talking to some of the judges, talking to as many Krark Sakashima players as I could who'd played in other events, I think my picture of the situation is pretty clear, best I could get it. And I think that there were there's just some stuff in the air. There were some things that conspired really to make the games featuring Krark Sakashima go long. Some of which was very complicated, multi-layered circumstances with various stacks pieces, multiple attempts to go off in response to other attempts to go off on instant speed. That we see this a lot in cEDH. Mm-hmm. Lots of not piloting error at all, because a lot of these pilots had played quite a bit, but it does require dice rolling, right? So there is a manual element that you have to play out in a tournament setting. You cannot shortcut probabilistic, curves trending towards infinity. You can't. And so that's its own challenge. But I think, I laid out in a big argument in many places, I don't think it will continue to be a problem for a few reasons. The first reason is just public education. Nick sort of, I think, solved his own problem by making the deck so infamous because everybody learned about it who didn't really know about it. And now I think that, like any deck, it has play patterns. If you identify them clearly, you can disrupt them. If you play them with clear mind about how to play them, you can do it efficiently. Manual Storm has encountered this problem in the past. It will encounter this problem in the future, this challenge to tournament organizers. But I don't think Krark Sakashima is so egregious that we're going to see this happen all the time. I also invited, and will continue to invite, very close scrutiny to all kinds of decks. Stacks decks, too. There are a lot of Stacks decks that love the games to go long. Sure do. True. Maybe the turns aren't as long, but my God, those games go to time. And so I think that, I just want kind of equitable scrutiny, and I want to make sure that I've done all I can from a public education standpoint to make Krark pilots move efficiently, play maximally efficiently, And for opponents to play against the deck efficiently, because a lot of what eats up time when you're playing Krark Sakashima is opponents not knowing what in the fuck to do. They're just like, wait a minute, do I counter? Okay, wait a minute. There's a Krark trigger. Wait, do I counter the? Okay, let me think. Do you have anything for that? There's just so much time eaten up by conversation before passing priority that I just want everybody to play efficiently in a tournament setting, because that's everybody's responsibility. So if you're an opponent and I put my triggers on the stack efficiently and I pass priority to you, guess what? You have priority. Don't eat it. Just make your decision and move on, because we got a tournament to play. And so that's my hope going forward. But we'll see. Yeah. We'll see. You know, this is the Krark Sakashima has done well in multiple tournaments. This was the only tournament that we heard a problem about. So maybe we'll hear more. Maybe we won't. Time will tell. But I am trying my damnedest to do all I can to take away the stigma from the deck. It's just a Storm deck. There are a lot of other Storm decks exist, whatever. And to educate people so they know how to play against it well, and they know how to play it well.
Yeah, I definitely want to echo the opponents playing against it. As resident Curious Control in Thrasios Timna pilot, right?
Yeah.
I'm playing slow blue piles intentionally.
Yep.
It is very much up to me to know when the Fukushima deck is about to do something scary and respond appropriately.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's why I don't play control decks in cEDH. You stop me. It's easier that way.
It's so hard. Control is so hard.
This is something that competitive players, pro Magic players, time and time again will tell you that if you're getting into a tournament setting, it is way better for your mental power to just play a linear deck.
Yep. Yeah, just play proactive. Just play proactive.
Even if you need to be a little bit like you like a reactive strategy, it's okay. Find the best mid-range deck, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Playing the hard blue-white control deck at the table it hurts you more than anybody else.
Yeah. Oh, no. Go for it, Cameron.
I was going to say, I still stand by Counterspell is the hardest card to play in Magic.
Yes.
Especially in a 4-person setting where the other 3 decks are likely to be hyper-aggressive, if it's cEDH, or could be likely to be aggressive proactive strategies. You're the one control deck at the table? What do you do?
Yeah. It's nuts.
Adding to that, those proactive strategies often have the counter.
Yeah, they have their own counters.
Yeah. Everybody's on all of them.
Yeah.
You got 3 or 4 more layers to fight through of just your decision making.
I do not envy control players in cEDH. I do not envy stacks players in cEDH. My brain is the size of a pea. I cannot think that intelligently about literally anything in my life, let alone like a stack in the most complex game on Earth. So I just like control and stacks to me, 2 gig of brain for me. I'm stupid. I want to just do the same thing over and over again until I win the game.
I mean, your deck is also kind of hard to play. It's like you're playing cards.
I guess, but
and I also.
It's just triggers. It's just putting triggers on the stack.
I play Selvala. I Oonga Boonga, dude. Like, I just Oonga the Boonga.
Yeah.
Can I just say a hot take about Siskel and Ebert real quick?
Yeah.
I feel like it's almost, at least maybe previous iterations of it, it almost was a weird pseudo control deck. When you have free counter magic, you can loop with your Deflecting Swat if you're Guardianship.
Oh, fuck that, dude. Fuck Deflecting Swat in that deck.
Hey, no, fuck you, okay?
No.
See, and now the Krark Wars, they begin here. And, it's all over.
It's not against the deck. It's just absurdly good in that deck.
That card should not have been. I think that card was a design mistake.
Ridiculous.
They're all design mistakes. But you're absolutely right.
One, it's fine.
Yeah, the green one is actually okay. Obscuring Haze is fine. But the deck can sometimes just play hard control. And I say that in Primer. I'm like, look, we're a storm. That's why I call it a mid-range deck, because I think that it can be aggressive and have a storm, pay off and finish. Or you can just play hard control for a round or 2 and then win at your leisure. And that's the dichotomy. And some people I get it. It's psychologically draining to play against Deflecting Swat, cast, and countering your shit 4 or 5 times in a row. This is why I also call Krark Sakashima, it's a psychological stacks deck. It makes opponents...
Never heard that.
It makes opponents want to die or leave the table. And
that's very true.
That is psychologically draining, and it is good to psychologically exhaust your opponents in a tournament. And so I think we start to see a little bit of why the deck is unique. But like, I can play against Blue Farm all day. So I'll play against Blue Farm with my eyes closed. It's a great deck. It's incredible. It's so strong. But I'm never like, oh God, like what is the line here? Like I know the lines. The lines are plain to see. But Krark Sakashima, unless you have played against it frequently, it just makes your brain melt. And I love that. I love that. But again, I am trying to provide opponents with a little bit of help so that their brains don't melt in the tournament, because that just slows everything down and makes everything painful. Right. You know, I want opponents to be the best they can, so that when we beat them, we can brag maximally. You know,
Ken really just said, "I'll be your angel or your devil."
Absolutely, yes, yeah, exactly, yeah.
So, 4-player Krark game on SmoothBrainEDH win.
I've done it. I've done it. I've done.
I've watched some of that. You did get the Krark off, and also I remember there was it was all for Krark Sakashima decks, and one was a budget deck. I remember that was
Yep.
Oh, that was last September.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah, we've done multiple Krark offs and have raised money for charity, and awesome. My God, the stacks are... I had a video editor who, like a friend who's working for me here in town, he was working on edited gameplay, and I was like, hey, we did this Krark off thing. Would you edit it? And he was like, yeah, sure. And I was like, okay, I'll pay you good money and we'll get through it. Okay. He literally one day, 6 months later, he was like, there's no amount of money on earth that you can pay me to finish this fucking thing. He was like, if I have to animate one more fucking grape shot or one more gut shot, he's like, I will die. And so, yeah, like it turns out big stacks, but that's what we like. We like big stacks.
That's all, right? That's cEDH. You want the stack like 40 Pringles deep.
Bingo, exactly. Bingo. I want to forget what we're even doing. You know, why we're even doing this. So yeah, but Krark offs every year. We do it every year for charity.
That's awesome.
Stay tuned.
Excellent.
All right. Well, good advertisement for that then.
Yep.
I think that about wraps up everything we wanted to talk about. Ken, is there anything else you want to mention before we go?
No, I mean, thank you for indulging me, for letting me blab for nearly an hour and a half of your time. I really appreciate it. Time is very precious, so I'm very grateful. And if you have any questions about any of the stuff I get up to, inside, outside the world of Magic, whatever, hit me up. I'm always around. I'm always happy to help if I can. And I would just encourage listeners, if there's anybody out there who is curious about cEDH, you want to learn more, go to cEDH.guide, poke around the website, see if it looks exciting. If so, maybe proxy up a deck and find some folks to play with on a Discord or locally, and hopefully you have fun. I think... I say it right at the top of the website, but cEDH is Commander. It's just very, very spicy. And so, that would be my last word to listeners. And if anybody's curious about my writing, go to kenbaumann.com. All my books are there, essays, blah, blah, blah. And, oh my God, I'm such an idiot. I'm so bad. I have a Kickstarter campaign right now. I have to mention that.
Yeah.
I have a Kickstarter campaign for, I've been wanting to write a fantasy novel for 25 years. And now's the time. Why not? And so I'm going to write a fantasy series. And if you would like to follow along, if you'd like to be given access to my the file in which I'm world building for this fantasy series and writing my daily drafts, you can access that at a certain backing tier. If you want first reader status, if you want to read drafts of the book and give feedback and shape it, you can get that at a certain tier. Or otherwise, if you just want to read an ebook or chip in a buck, please do. It's called Book of Blood's Hiding. It's on Kickstarter, and we're 86% funded as of today. So if you want to help me take it over the top, I'd be very gracious, and thank you.
Link to that will be in the description. I'll make sure to put that down there. But I think, and Ken, unless you have anything else you want to say, this is your time to say it. But if not, then I think we're just going to wrap this episode up. Thank you all so much for listening to this episode of the Wrinkly Brain Podcast. Ken, this has been an honor for me. I've loved your content for ages now, and
thank you.
I'm very happy if you couldn't tell.
Well, vice versa. I had a great time. Y'all are all clearly lovely, kind, generous people. When I got the script outline, I was like, oh man, these people are really generous with their time. So I appreciate it.
Well, I really appreciate you. If you ever want to hop on the channel at any point or just talk to us more, trust me, I'm completely down.
Nice.
Oh yeah,
yeah. You made my July.
Good. Oh, you know that I'm happy to jam cEDH Anytime.
yeah.
Love it.
I'll have to change decks though.
No,
so
2 Krark decks.
No.
Full
No,
send.
I'll play Krark Thrasios or Krark Timno. Like it's fine. We'll be okay.
I might have to hit you up for advice on
Krarks.
Piloting Krark Thrasios. I've been interested.
Ooh,
I've been wanting to try it out.
Whew, my God, I've
Remote
been
Casino, technically, right?
yeah, I've been so shocked at how well that deck has been doing. I think, to be honest, like I'm gonna play Krark Sakashima in Philly because why not? Like it just feels iconic. But I think at the championships in Copenhagen right now, I'm leaning towards Krark Thrasios because my win rate on it is so much higher, and I don't know. I have a good feeling about it, but we'll see. You know,
that sounds like heresy to me, but I trust your judgment, Krark Father.
I know. We'll see. I'm still thinking about it though. But yeah.
All right. Well, this is me giving this 2 metaphorical Krark thumbs up on this episode. Thank you all again for so much for listening to this episode of the Wrinkly Brain Podcast. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all the normal stuff. Check out our Discord and link to that description. Our Patreon, we're trying to start that up, and we have content ready for your Patreons if anyone wants to join in. This has been Jason, Ethan, Cameron, and Ken of the Wrinkly Brain Podcast. Thank you all so much again.